Want your boss to put some real action behind the rhetoric when they talk about making your workplace more inclusive? Find out how to hold their feet to the fire to demand diversity on the Diversity Dude podcast with Reg Clark.
What's up, everybody? I am so ready to keep it moving. And today, I think, is very important that I want to talk about the vaccine. And I want to talk about the vaccine in honor of my podcast boss, Shaletta. Awesome person. She went and got the vaccine based on the fact that having a conversation with her son said, hey, what would happen to me and my three siblings if something were to happen to you? And I thought that was very noble of her to do that for her son's birthday wish. And one of the things that makes this very important is, and I'm not divulging anything that's a secret, Shaletta is a champion for children with autism. She's written 2 books. She happens to have 3 children that are on the autism spectrum. And if you don't understand what the autism spectrum is, I definitely encourage you to put that into Googler. But Shaletta went out and she did that so that she could get her first dose. And Shaletta, I know you're listening, so make sure next week you go and get that second dose, which is very important to do. I'm very proud of you for doing that. I'm very proud that you are now an example for others who listen to you, who follow you. It was put on CNN. It was also on CBS Morning Show with Gayle King. I know you're a fan of Gayle King. It was put on there. So there are a lot of people who saw that, who actually maybe even thought like, that's a good idea and I should do it. And people who look like Shaletta, who look like me and Shaletta, are now encouraged to go out there and get the vaccination. So let's talk about this for a moment. I'm not going to tell you whether I'm pro or anti-vaccination. We'll talk about that later. And it's not about me, and it's not about the fact that I believe in it or don't believe in it. But it's about getting the right information, getting the proper information. There are people that I know, that I've grown up with, that I've been friends with for a long time. And sometimes the rhetoric that I see them not just post, but repost. So meaning that they've taken somebody else's information and shared it. Not that they've gone to a credible source. If you go to a site called antivaxxers.com, what type of information do you expect to get? Right? You don't expect to get objective information. So what I'm really saying is, hey, as we send our children back to school, as workplaces begin to recall us back into the workplace, we really need to talk about where are we getting information about vaccination? Where are we really getting this information from? Vaccination is nothing new. You can't enroll your children into school unless they're vaccinated and you have proof of vaccination. When I went into the service, one of the first things they did was check my vaccinations, update my vaccinations. I still have a bruise on my arm from the vaccination gun. So my thing is, ask yourself where you're getting the information from. Make your decision based on real information and not somebody else's version of the information. When I was a young kid, my mother used to always tell me this. There are 3 sides to every story. Your side, my side, and then the truth. And the goal is to really get to the truth. What's the truth about vaccinations? What's the truth about COVID-19? What's the truth about those who have been vaccinated versus those who have not been vaccinated? And the hospitalization rates of both groups. So right now we see an uptick of hospitalizations due to Delta, but who's being hospitalized? Look at the statistics, the vaccinated versus the unvaccinated, and who's being hospitalized at a higher rate and why. So I'm not asking you to pontificate. I'm not asking you to guess what's going on. I'm asking you to look at real information, real data. I'm asking you to look at the videos of first person testimonials of individuals who are on their deathbed, but they come back and say, you know what? I wish I would have gotten the vaccination. I want you to listen to the doctors who say, hey, these patients on their deathbed are asking me for a vaccination. And the only thing I can tell them is it's too late. Listen to those stories and then make a decision. Stop posting information that comes from these sites that are not verified or they're not credible. Start looking at the credible sources. And the crazy part about this is a lot of people, there are governors, there are other politicians, there are individuals that are high profile individuals that are like, we don't need to do masks. We stopped doing the mask, but yet they're vaccinated. They're not telling you the truth about, hey, I'm vaccinated. So when I hear someone, and you guys know, I don't get into politics. I don't do politics. I don't discuss politics, but every once in a while, there's a crossover point where something that happens in politics is actually relevant to what I'm talking about. So if we go to the Texas governor, I don't even like to mention his name really. So the Texas governor, Google it if you don't know. But the Texas governor was like, hey, I am going to dock pay for the individual in the school system that that violates the mask ban mandate that he has, right? So the governor is saying, hey, nobody should have to wear masks. And if you force them to wear masks, then I'll withhold your salary or funds. But this is an individual who himself was vaccinated. He didn't tell that story. He ended up contracting COVID anyways. And I wish the best for him because, you know, as my mama would say, we don't wish bad on nobody. So I wish the best for him in recovering from the COVID that he's contracted. But at the same time, how do you feel when somebody who has the vaccination is telling you not to get vaccinated, is telling you not to wear a mask, right? Going back to my not only podcast boss, but my dear friend Shaletta and her husband Sean is a good friend of mine who I love. Going back to that, her rationale for finally overcoming her fears of getting the vaccination was because she had to think about other people. And one of the things that we talk about is being selfless, is not being selfish and considering other people, is when you return your kids to the school, when you return to the workplace, is that you're not that selfish individual. It's that you're not espousing your beliefs on someone else. Allow people to be comfortable in their own skin. Allow them to do what they feel is natural for them, right? So stop taking information from individuals who have no idea, no information, no scientific background to be able to inform you about a vaccine. Go to credible sources. Now, I'm going to tell you about me and my beliefs. So, my beliefs were so strong about this that last year, 2020, I enrolled into a study. So I became part of a clinical trial. And that was important to me because I knew that the only way I was going to get my dad to get the vaccine was by telling him that I've been a part of this trial. I understand what they're putting into my body. I understand what they're trying to accomplish by putting this into my body. And I go back to Baylor Medical College of Medicine on a regular basis for follow-up. So when I told my dad that, he became more confident in what the vaccine represented. I get it. I just happen to be a person of color. I happen to be Black. My dad grew up understanding what happened with the Tuskegee experiment. But when I told him that, when I went for the trial, there were people that looked like me that were administering the medicine. There were people that looked like me that were on the staff. There were people that looked like me who represented me that explained to me that this was safe to take. So that's what I'm saying is go to credible sources. Stop reposting things. Because sometimes when people repost things, I can't tell who the idiot is, them or the person who previously reposted it. So stop reposting things that don't make sense. Stop reposting things without finding out the facts, because you are an influencer to somebody. Just like Shaletta is an influencer to a lot of people. What she did has undoubtedly made a lot of people say, hey, you know what? I should take the same consideration for the people I love, the people I respect, and I want them to be safe. So I'm going to pay the meter and park it right there. But I do hope that most of you, a lot of you, that everyone starts looking at more credible sources about the vaccine, COVID-19, and its impact. Thank you for listening.
Tune in each week as Reg Clark shows you how to demand and implement diversity and inclusion at your job. To hear more, check out his previous shows on ShalettaMakesMeLaugh.com.